Hello, my name is Gloria and welcome to my channel. I have a very interesting video for you today. It is 3 mindsets to discover your most authentic self. This video comes from a question one of my subscribers are in the comments about how to know yourself and discover yourself. And I thought the easiest way, like the simplest way to know yourself, is to know who you're not. What's not yourself, okay, so that you don't confuse the two. If you have to counterfeit notes, you need to know what the real deal looks like and what the counterfeit looks like. So in the video, I will share 3 very important mindsets that will keep you true to your most authentic self, so that even as you live life, you can discover what is the false self and what is the real self. I'll talk about the 2 selves that we have, right? The ego, or we can call it the false self, and who you are at the core, the true self. And if you're interested in that, let's go. When we try to, let's say, change our habits, or we have a goal and then we keep sabotaging ourselves, like we desire something yet you're the one who gets in the way of what you desire, that's part of the clash between the ego and the you in the quantum, the you who has what you desire. Okay, so the ego is the you who had those old limiting beliefs that do not serve you anymore. Okay, but you are so used to it, you are so used to practicing these thoughts, you are so used to acting in a certain way that before you can transform from the ego, before you can transform from this other self to the you who is most authentic, who has what you desire, who's calling you in the quantum, there's gonna be like a transition period. So you'll find people like they decide something, they're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna, be kinder to people, I'm gonna start, working on my relationships and stop yelling at, I don't know, my friends and family. And then the ego, who's used to doing that and who has become so comfortable in that, will bring thoughts and will bring things up to bring you back to the status quo, right? Because that's what you're used to. It's like it operates like a thermostat. So when you decide, okay, I'm going to do this differently, the ego is still there, still exists. It's going to be like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't you. But of course, the ego isn't you, okay? And then when you're in the quantum self, who already has what you want and who is out there looking out for your happiness and well-being, will be like, no, at the core, we want to be healthy and wealthy and happy. That's what we wanted when we were born. That's what you want in the future, right? So my relationships being better will make that better for me. Why don't we do it? So the quantum self will keep calling you, and then you decide you have this desire and you follow it. And then the ego starts, and then there's a clash between the false self and the self in the quantum, right? So there are certain mindsets we can adopt in our lives that can help us to differentiate between the ego and the false self and the authentic self, the you at the core, the David who you're sculpting, right? So that you can remove the parts that are not David. So the first mindset is the observer mindset. Okay, I talked about this in a previous video when I was talking about idiot-proof personal development. The observer mindset is simply realizing that you are an observer of your thought and you're not your thoughts. Okay, if you think about it right now, if I tell you think about a pink highlighter, pink highlighter, pink highlighter, okay, so say that in your mind and then watch yourself saying it. Pink highlighter, pink highlighter. Say that in your mind and you can watch yourself saying it. But a lot of people equate their thoughts to the person. They're like, oh, a thought comes to mind and they immediately like, oh, how could I think that? I'm such a terrible person. It's not, you're not your thoughts. Thoughts can just come and go. Legit, they can just come and go. And you can observe them and you can let them go and say, no, that has nothing to do with me. It just passed through and it left. Okay? So you are not your thoughts. And one way you can live in a more authentic way is realizing that and being able to observe your thought from a perspective of, I'm an observer. At the core, I am an observer. And if you notice the observer, they're actually a very calm version of you. The version of you that is non-attached, the version of you that can just watch things happen. And even when you're doing the mental reprogramming that I talk about in my 7-step process to reprogram your mind in the affirmation manifestation journal, I talk about identifying the limiting beliefs. The only reason you can identify them is because you can stand back and be in your observer and watch the thoughts and then dismantle them and deconstruct them so that you can program your mind in a way that is more helpful and beneficial to you, right? So imagine you have a habit you want to change, okay? You have a habit, you've decided you want to be fit this year, you want to be healthy, right? And then every time you work out, thoughts come up like, oh my gosh, this can't work. It can't work. I've tried it before, it never works. And who even said I wanted to be fit? And what's there to be fit about, I'm okay being the way I am. That's the ego stuff, right? So, but if you notice these thoughts that are stopping you from doing that which you desire, that which you want to become, that's what you'd love to become, that's what you'd be happy being, then it's time to go and step back and watch those thoughts. You don't even have to try and change them. Just watch them. Be like, oh, look at her go. You can even watch yourself not do what it is you're required to do. You can watch yourself self-sabotage, and that removes so much power from it because you've disassociated from the thoughts. You are not your thoughts. And the sooner you learn that by practicing the observer technique, the more you'll realize that you're actually really powerful. And a lot of random thoughts come into your mind. Doesn't mean you have to act on them, doesn't mean you have to do them, and doesn't mean you identify with them. And at the end of the day, that releases a lot of pent-up emotions, pent-up negativity, right? So practicing the observer, anytime you can practice the observer. Whenever you're reprogramming your mind, if you follow the 7-step process in the affirmation manifestation journal in the description, you'll find out that you actually have a lot of power over what you choose to believe and what you choose to think, just by fact of being this observer. Now, the second mindset that is very important in nurturing this real authentic self is the learner mindset, adopting the learner mindset. As I was doing my life coaching course, there was one module called the core identity. Okay, you at the core. Who are you at the core? And the conclusion was you are imperfect, but that's perfect. So if you decide today that I want to be caring, it means there's always room for improvement. You're like, okay, I'm caring, but I can be more caring, and that's great. There's always room for growth. And the learner mindset can also be called the growth mindset, is just simply believing that through effort or through whatever, you can attain that which you desire. Okay, you can grow, you can learn, you can identity shift, you can become more, you can have more. But if you believe that you're fixed, that is more of the ego trying to protect itself, because what did we say? The ego wants to maintain the status quo. So whenever you try and change something, the ego will automatically tell you, hey, no, you can't do that. That is different. That is dangerous. That is risky. But at the end of the day, life is all risky because no one gets out of it alive. So realizing that the ego will always try to keep you at the same place. Your most authentic self wants to grow, wants to learn, wants to flourish. Think about babies. They're always learning, they're imitating, they have mirror neurons. When you laugh, they laugh. When they mirror emotions, they like learning, they're learning languages, they repeat after their parents. So, and they're not afraid of making mistakes until we instill those fears into them. Until we tell them, no, it's not okay to be yourself. It's not okay to just be curious and ask a million questions. That's annoying. Keep quiet. But if we went back to our fundamental self, we are curious beings. As children, they can just ask you questions all the time. They're like, what does this mean? What does this mean? I love kids. They're always like asking questions, and I like trying to be honest with them and be like, okay, this is what I know about this, or this is what I know about this, and nurturing their curiosity, right? So you at the core is that learner. You always wanted to learn. It's just that we had limiting beliefs put upon us, and limiting beliefs that we chose to believe. So just the same way we could choose to believe them, we can choose to not believe them, right? So the ego wants to stay as it is and wants to be fixed, but your authentic self wants to grow and learn. So if you adopt this learning mindset, this growth mindset that I can change, I can improve, it's not a matter of innate ability, it's a matter of my desires. What do I want? And I'll figure out how to get there. If other people have done it, I can do it too. I can grow, I can improve. If I'm kind, I can become even more kind. I'm not perfectly kind, and that's okay. I make mistakes sometimes, but that just means there's room for improvement. Do you see how empowering that is? Rather than thinking that, okay, that's it, I'm a rude person, and that's how it's always going to be, and I'm always going to be rude. You can see how society would deteriorate if people refuse to change, right? So the third and most important mindset is the participant. The participant. This mindset is based on this phrase: I am a participant of my life, and I can choose to participate or I can choose not to participate. This is all based on the principle of free will. You have free will. You have a choice. No one can take away your ability to think and to decide things for yourself, right? So free will, your ability to choose. If you have choice A and choice B, choosing choice A or choosing choice B, choosing to be sad, choosing to be happy, choosing to your friends, choosing whatever it is you want in life. You have that free will, and that is amazing, because animals don't have free will. Okay, they are bound by their instincts, but human beings can go against their instincts. Like, you can put food in front of a hungry human, but they can tell you they're on a diet and not eat the food. But if you put food before a hungry animal, it's gonna eat the food. That's how human beings are. You can make choices to your benefit or to your detriment, but it's an amazing mindset to realize that you're not at the mercy of anyone. I always preach on this channel, we're not victims of life, we're creators of life. If you believe in the law of attraction, you believe that you're the creator of your own reality, and that is amazing. If you adopt this self-aware mindset, this mindset that I can create, I can choose what I desire, I can choose what decision to make, and my life is based upon certain decisions that I've made, and I can always reverse the decision or reverse the direction of my life depending on what I choose, then you're more empowered, and that's more in line with your authentic self. This authentic self that wants, that desires, and then chooses. Okay, because if you think about it, human beings evolved and have grown this planet based upon their desire. The Wright brothers wanted to fly. Generations later, we are flying planes like it's normal. We're not like, oh my gosh, we want to fly. No, because technology has expanded just because people had certain desires. Okay, so your desires are a blessing. Okay, that's actually the special tip, right? Follow your bliss, follow your desires, keep your desires, own your desires, because your desires is what expands this planet, expands technology, expands. Whenever, let's say you were one of the Wright brothers and you decided you wanted to fly, and there was a burning desire and you nurtured it, but everybody's like, no, you can't do that. But you in the quantum knows, because there's no space and time there, so they're like, flying is possible, and that desire is in your heart, and you said it's a preview of what you get to have, and you follow that desire, and then generations later we get to enjoy flying and being in the air and all sorts of technology, right? So for those who are struggling with self-sabotage and who I really am, practice those three mindsets. Okay, make them part of your core values, things that you believe. Okay, reprogram your mind with the 7-step process, and eventually you'll see your life unfold in such an amazing way. Okay, because you'll realize that, okay, I have free will, so my happiness is not dependent on what Jane over there or what Joe over there said to me. It's based on how I feel in my body, what I decide, right? Then you'll have more freedom. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I will, answer them in a video or in the comments. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Bye.